Some actors rely on prosthetics and padding to transform into their characters, while others go through a slightly different route. Sometimes it's extreme weight loss, and sometimes they gain tons and tons of muscle. Whatever these actors choose to do to take on their roles, you can be sure that the results are always amazing. Check out some of the extreme physical transformations these stars went through. No CGI involved here. Remember when all we knew of Chris Pratt was when he played the lovable but not exactly cut Andy Dwyer on Parks and Rec? For multiple seasons, the sweet and slightly chubbier Pratt flailed his way into the hearts of everyone in the department, and all of us watching at home. And then came Guardians of the Galaxy, for which he lost 60 pounds in 6 months, and put on a ton of muscle. After completely overhauling his diet and working out for 3 to 4 hours a day, Pratt went from mouse rat to beast. Jonah Hill didn't make his start as a Hollywood hunk, but it looks like he might be on his way there. For his role in the Netflix series Maniac, he had almost totally transformed from the Hill we got to know and love in movies like Superbad and This Is the End. Just after filming the movie War Dogs, for which he put on an extra 40 pounds, Hill slimmed right down and in Maniac looks more fit and healthier than ever. While Natalie Portman's physical transformation for the movie Black Swan might not be obvious to some, it was so grueling for Portman that there were even times where she felt as though she might die. To prepare for the film, the actress was in rehearsal for over 8 hours a day on an extremely restrictive number of calories. Director Darren Aronofsky was quoted saying that she did it all living off of carrots and almonds, with a broken rib on top of it all. These days, most of us are familiar with a very buff version of Tom Hardy we saw as Bane in The Dark Knight Rises. But actually, the movie that started off his transformation was 2008's Bronson. Before this film, Hardy had never gained as much weight and muscle as he would for the role. And it really is an astounding difference. Not only did he have to get super strong, he had to transform his entire body. Jared Leto is another actor who is known for his willingness to do whatever it takes to get into character, whether that involves torturing his castmates for Suicide Squad or transforming his body like for the movie Chapter 27. In order to play the man who killed John Lennon, Leto gained 67 pounds. Apparently, it was so hard on him that by the end of filming, Leto couldn't walk to and from the set anymore. He doesn't recommend it, however, as he actually got gout from putting on so much weight so fast. Demi Moore has never been afraid to go all in for a role, and her transformation for G.I. Jane really proved that. Not only did she want to look like Jordan O'Neill, the first female Navy SEAL, she wanted to train like her too. Every morning at 4 a.m. she would train before going to set, working with real Navy SEALs in order to do it as authentically as possible, with real obstacle courses, one-arm push-ups, sit-ups in the mud, and underwater running. Anne Hathaway's Fantine might not have had that much screen time in Les Mis, but that doesn't mean her emotional portrayal didn't have a huge impact. And her dedication to the role can't be understated, as her near-starvation diet in order to drop 25 pounds in order to look near death, as she called it. To do so in a short amount of time, Hathaway ate only 2 small squares of oatmeal paste a day during filming, an act that she referred to as a little nuts. Another actor who was awarded an Academy Award for his extreme transformation into a role was British great Sir Ben Kingsley for his portrayal of Gandhi. Not only did Kingsley drop 20 pounds, but he tried his best to live as close a lifestyle to the Indian activist. He took up a dedicated yoga practice, meditation, and even learned to spin thread on a wheel as Gandhi did. He even changed his diet to completely replicate Gandhi's, giving up meat, dairy, and processed foods entirely. Jake Gyllenhaal may have started his career out with indie weirdo roles like Donnie Darko, but his classic good looks have cemented his place as a Hollywood hunk. That's why his transformation for this seriously creepy Lou Bloom in Nightcrawler is seriously impressive. In order to drop 30 pounds to inhabit the character, he lived on kale salad and chewing gum and would run the 15 miles from his home to the set every night. Because, oh yeah, almost the entire movie was shot at night. Emma Stone's transformation might not have appeared that huge for her role as Billie Jean King in Battle of the Sexes, but her training regimen for the role proves otherwise. In order to not only look like a professional athlete, but to be able to play tennis like one all day, every day, Stone's trainer overhauled her nutrition entirely and pushed her in the gym 5 days a week, often twice a day. They focused on building her strength in order to respectfully portray the real-life Billie. Most of the time, these physical transformations work out for the best, and sometimes they don't. Such is the case for Ryan Gosling in The Lovely Bones. But wait, Ryan Gosling wasn't in The Lovely Bones. Well, that's because he and the director Peter Jackson didn't agree on what the character of Jack Solomon should look like. Gosling went ahead and gained 60 pounds without consulting Jackson, who was busy with pre-production. When Jackson finally set his eyes on the new Gosling, he removed him from the production and replaced him with Mark Wahlberg. Ouch. If Gosling had been working on Yorgos Lanthimos' The Lobster, things might have worked out a little differently, but instead the task fell on Colin Farrell to gain 40 pounds in 2 months for the black comedy about a very lonely man. He claims that it was an easy feat, in which he just abandoned all ideas of portion control and stopped working out entirely. While it might have been easy to put on, taking it off sounds a little bit harder, as Farrell claims he starved himself and worked out like crazy right after production wrapped. Hilary Swank surprised audiences everywhere with her turn as a boxer in $1 Million Baby, and the actress earned every ounce of the praise she got. For 90 days, Swank trained in boxing 2.5 hours every day, plus another 2 hours of weightlifting every day, 6 days a week. And she didn't just train, she had to consume 210 grams of protein a day and a ton of fat to put on all that muscle in such a short time, which she did by drinking 8 to 12 egg whites and flax oil. Boxing movies are a great excuse for actors to totally overhaul their bodies in order to get into character, which is exactly what Will Smith did to take on the role of boxing legend Muhammad Ali. In order to pull it off, he had to put on no less than 35 pounds of pure muscle, which he did by working out for 6 hours a day, 5 days a week for almost a year. He started out the year being able to bench press 175 pounds and ended it benching 365. Speaking of boxing movie transformations, we just couldn't go on without shouting out the guy who did it first, Robert De Niro in Raging Bull. Because it takes place over decades, De Niro's physique fluctuated like crazy over the course of the shoot. First to get into totally believable fighting shape, and then to gain 60 pounds for the last few scenes in the film. It's some serious dedication, in which the entire production shut down so he could go to Italy and eat like crazy for weeks. One of the first actors to really make a splash about their transformation for a movie role was Renee Zellweger for her iconic portrayal of Bridget Jones in the first Bridget Jones's Diary movie. While Zellweger has a naturally smaller frame, she put on 30 pounds in order to play the famed British singleton. While that might not seem all that drastic, once the film wrapped, she immediately got into amazing, super muscular shape for her next and very demanding role as Roxy Hart in Chicago. It's hard to imagine Chris Hemsworth as anything but the God of Thunder, but there was a time when Hemsworth was actually quite svelte. Working with a former Navy SEAL trainer, Hemsworth specifically focused on making his arms as massive as possible, seeing as how Thor spends most of his time swinging around the heaviest hammer in the universe. While he put on 20 pounds of muscle for the role, he certainly hasn't stopped since, and has been determined to keep in godlike shape ever since his initial transformation. While we already mentioned Jake Gyllenhaal's impressively creepy slimming down for the movie Nightcrawler, the dedicated actor deserves one more shout-out for putting it all back on, and then some for his later role in the boxing movie Southpaw. He had to totally alter his entire physique for the role, which he did by working out and training 6 hours a day for 6 days a week. Not only was his body affected, his personal life changed too, as his dedication to the role cost him his relationship with Alyssa Miller. When you think about the actor J.K. Simmons, the words totally jacked probably aren't the first that come to mind, but that's exactly what he is, which he first did for the first Terminator Genesis and then to take on the role of Commissioner Gordon in the movie Justice League. To get into the best shape of his life, Simmons turned to a Hollywood favorite trainer and ex-Marine Aaron Williamson, who has also whipped the likes of Dwayne Johnson, Zac Efron, and Jamie Foxx into enviable shape. In order to accurately play a man who's been stranded on a desert island in Castaway, Tom Hanks was determined to look the part as authentically as possible by losing up to 55 pounds. But first, before production began, he had to gain 50 pounds in order to look middle-aged for all the pre-plane crash scenes. So after they finished all of that early stuff, the production halted for a year in order for Hanks to grow out his hair and begin his extreme diet and exercise regime. The role of Lisbeth Salander in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo requires serious dedication from any actress brave enough to take her on. And lucky for us, Rooney Mara had the guts to go there. Aside from the wild haircut, Mara had to stay out of the sun in order to remain ghostly pale, and drop her weight down to where she appeared nearly anorexic. While she didn't speak much about her transformation, a magazine interview in which director David Fincher jokes about allowing Mara to eat a grape or a leaf of lettuce suggests there was some extreme dieting going on. In order to accurately play a real-life man who eventually starved to death, Emile Hirsch felt it necessary to basically do the same for the movie Into the Wild. The actor claims that when he was cast in the role, he was at his normal weight of 156 pounds. So just to start shooting, he went down to 130. And then as the film went on and his character starved in the Alaskan wilderness, he lost another 15 pounds. Apparently, all he wanted in the world was a chocolate bar. Charlize Theron is without a doubt one of the most beautiful women ever, so much so that some had written her off as nothing more than that. Charlize blew everyone away with her transformation into the serial killer Eileen Wuornos in the movie Monster. Not only did she gain 30 pounds, she actually looks like an entirely different person. It worked out in her favor, as she took home the Academy Award for Best Actress for the role. Dallas Buyers Club was an amazing movie for all kinds of reasons. But one of the most astounding things about it was the total transformation underwent by Matthew McConaughey. Usually known for his super buff physique, McConaughey seriously committed to looking the part of real-life Ron Woodruff, a man suffering from HIV. While he looks very ill in the film, he said he did it in the healthiest way possible, losing 3.5 pounds a week over 4 months until he met his goal weight. And, of course, we come to the man who's done it all, the master of overhauling his entire body for a role, Christian Bale. It all started with 2004's The Machinist, when Bale went down to 110 pounds. Of course, he immediately turned around and put it all back on and then some for Batman Begins. But nothing will top his most recent transformation into Dick Cheney for Adam McKay's Vice. And they say acting's an easy job. What did you think of these crazy body transformations? Are they necessary to inhabit a role, or a little bit of overkill? Did we miss any even more extreme physical overhauls? Let us know in the comments down below. And we hope you had fun watching.